I'm Greg D. Doug. I started working at a public policy think tank. I've met really fun, smart people working to solve big problems. I asked some of them if they'd come talk about their work and how good public policy makes the world a better place. And all they asked for in return was pizza. Joining me this week is Adina Safta, an entrepreneur and small business expert who helped her clients navigate the financial complexities of pandemic policy.
So your name is Adina Safta,
Yes.
and you are a businesswoman
Yes.
in Raleigh, North Carolina.
I've been in finance and, more specifically small business finance pretty much my whole career. But my passion has always been small businesses because I feel like they're the lifeline of our economy and just helping them financially. And they're the ones that really get the least amount of resources at their fingertips to be able to succeed. And so I started my own small business in January of 2020, nonetheless. It was like perfect timing, leave 15-year career and start a small business 2 months before the world pretty much collapses.
Right.
It was a boutique financial firm, and the intention was to help small businesses as a fractional CFO. So, a CFO typically makes $150,000 or more, and so small businesses can't afford that. They barely pay themselves, right? Never mind having all these other positions. And so I took the CFO position and I scaled it down.
Yeah, so for a lot of small businesses that maybe can't afford a full-on CFO, you do a little bit of that for a few of them.
Right, yeah. So 25 million and under is really considered a small business. When you look at their financials, their goal is to always pay less in taxes, right? And so their CPAs, they're laser focused on legally being able to help their clients not have to pay taxes. How do they do that? They drain their bottom line. And so when you drain a business's bottom line, especially a small businesses, that basically cripples them from growth. As a small business owner, I realized really what they need in a CFO position is not so much a CPA, but more so someone who understands their cash flow, their operating cycle, how it works. Because the business banker is literally the person that's gonna help you gain access to credit. And how can they do that when your CPA is doing what they're supposed to, which is basically draining your bottom line?
So you're kind of like a partner for them.
Exactly, yep.
So tell me a little bit about where are you from? Are you from this area originally?
I was born in Europe, in Romania, moved to the States when I was 10, lived in Queens, grew up in New Jersey, and then I went to school in South Florida.
Yeah. You have a Queens accent a little bit.
Queen?
Yeah, a Queens accent.
Really?
Yeah, I hear it a little bit.
You don't say.
Yeah. Well, not the Queen, like you're from Queens. Adina, do you have a favorite pizza, a favorite type of pizza? Or...
So funny, growing up in New Jersey, everyone's like, there's no pizza like New York, which is very factual. I mean, I love all pizza if it's a really good slice of pizza, and Vic's happens to be one of my favorites because I guess people say it's like the water or whatever, but I think it's really just the people making it.
Yeah. So give us a little background about some of the policy things that the government set up during the pandemic to help people's businesses.
Two of the main ones were the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And so those were the two main ones. And what happened when the applications were available, they were all available via the bank. So wherever you banked or, there were private credit companies, that's where you were able to gain access to the applications. However, the actual employees of those banks had no access to any information. They were basically just like the paper taker and, they just passed it on. They got the information, they passed it on, but they didn't verify anything. No, exactly. And so the SBA, at the time they were working from home, and so the business clients would call the SBA. The SBA would send the client to the bank, and then the bank would send the client to the CPA because they had no clue what the questions were that were being addressed. And so because a lot of these programs were just rolled out on the fly, there wasn't enough access to information for the small business owners.
Right.
So I basically held every one of my clients' hands through the process. And as a CFO, it was difficult for me.
Yeah.
So I cannot imagine being a small business
Somebody doing
owner
it themselves.
that has no experience in finance.
I think you even mentioned they didn't even tell people, hey, you're going to have to pay interest, or what the interest is going to be, what your payments are going to be, how much to put aside.
Who really sat and read every single page of the disclosures to see, like, the EIDL is the one you're referring to. So the EIDL basically had a deferred payment initially for 24 months. And then in 2021, they changed it to 30 months. And so they were just basically, in my opinion, buying time on making sure that their processes were in place when they start accepting payments. But the businesses that have not made any payments now, like as early as October, they're all going to be responsible for making interest and principal payments, in addition to the interest, 3.75% fixed, that's been accrued for 30 months.
Right.
So can you imagine like what that is? A lot of money. It's like a mortgage.
Yeah.
So small businesses, you walk around downtown, you walk around communities, are not doing much better, right? Their cost has gone up, their profit is shrinking, and so they're not in a great financial situation where they're like, I have all this extra money, right? They're still really they're still struggling. And you look at Wake County, I think I saw a report, like 29% of small businesses have closed since June of 2021.
That's crazy. Okay, so that was the EIDL. Can you talk a little bit about the PPP loans that people are familiar with?
Yeah, so the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, was really the first one that was rolled out and that we experienced when everything shut down. The difference between the EIDL and the PPP is that the PPP is 100% forgivable, right? The maximum on the PPP was a $2 million loan that potentially could have been 100% forgivable. So once you got the funding, there was no direction or accountability on how the money was spent. And so I created a template that I utilized for every one of my clients. And although, the SBA wasn't asking us for it, I basically held my clients every week. We had the money in a separate account, and every week we did an expense sheet with just the expenses that were, covered under the PPP, and we would transfer that money. So yeah, it was kind of doubling the work. But guess what? When we did the forgiveness, we were all of my clients were the first ones approved and right away. But the biggest impact is going to be the IRS when they're filing their taxes and they're doing the audits, because that's where they can start and trigger the audits.
So even if they get the forgiveness, you're saying they go back and do their taxes, and then the IRS can come and actually investigate still?
Correct.
Okay.
I have several clients that have emailed me since the forgiveness that are receiving emails from the SBA saying that they need to they've been forgiven, and now they have to provide the SBA with their returns again and all these other things, information that they already have access to. But basically putting the small business owner that took a $20,000 PPP loan and had it forgiven through basically hell instead of, the larger corporations are not really feeling any of that because they have CFOs and there's really not a big impact.
Yeah, so you're thinking probably there's more bad stuff that's gonna happen. People are probably those numbers of businesses closing is probably gonna go up when these people can't pay their loans or get reinvestigated and owe more money. Okay, so are there any other recommendations regarding small businesses?
Yes, recommendation for consumers. I think that as we, are walking around our downtowns, that we take a moment and step back and say, before I go to this big company online and get something delivered to my doorstep, why don't I just go support a small business?
Right.
What if, this local boutique shop offers the same thing and they're literally just barely making ends meet, but they're giving you the opportunity to have a beautiful downtown and a place to go to.
Yeah.
So I just encourage everybody to really shop local by, just taking the time to go out and support these business owners that are trying to keep our economy alive.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation, and I think a lot of people, realize that, the stuff we talk about in public policy, it ends up having dramatic, real world results that we're seeing play out now.
Check out the links in the description to learn more about small business finance and related policies. And don't forget to like our videos and subscribe to the John Locke Foundation on YouTube. We'd like to thank Adina Safta for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Policy Pizza.